Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. We've got a video here, an article we're going to go through and read together and then offer some commentary because we were recently covering Brazil and livestock in Brazil and blockchain technology. So this is an article came across these last few days and it's worth looking into. So here we go. As you guys can see here, it says, livestock methane reduction, Brazilian beef pilot generates first inset credits via Athian. So this is something that here at cryptodeposit.org, one of our sister projects, so we'll get to that later. Now, let's read the article from the top from the wonderful Elaine Watson over at AgFunder. Now, Athian has sold the first inset credits generated by a Brazilian beef project following a pilot with Australia-based methane reduction specialist Rumin8 and Minerva Foods, the leading exporter of beef in South America. So rather than buying carbon offsets from projects outside their value chains, Minerva and other food companies are increasingly looking to purchase insets, credits generated by emission reductions within their own supply chains. Typically, says Indiana-based Athian, a large food company provides financial incentives for farmers to make a practice change, and we facilitate that process. The firm, which is best known for its work in U.S. dairy cattle, but is also working with partners in Australia and other markets, used its insetting framework and platform to facilitate data verification, register the resulting credits, and sell them to Minerva Foods. The 120-day pilot assessed both Rumin8's performance and its potential to form the basis of a future protocol on Athian's platform. According to Rumin8, cattle receiving the additive in a total mixed ration produced 50.4% less methane and achieved a 5% improvement in feed conversion efficiency compared with cattle fed the same diet without it. We not only proved the insetting process from the generation and verification of reductions to their sale as Scope 3 assets for the first time in Brazilian beef, said Athian co-founder Kendra Tolley. We also demonstrated how Athian's approach applies internationally and across livestock systems. Founded in 2022, Athian works with livestock producers on GHG emission reduction strategies from feed ingredients to manure management, facilitates secure data collection via its software platform for third-party review and verification, and registers and sells outcomes as inset credits to food companies looking to cut Scope 3 emissions to meet ESG goals. We believe environmental progress in beef has to be measurable and verifiable, said Minerva Global Sustainability Director Marta Giannicki. This pilot demonstrates that it's possible to quantify methane reductions at the farm level and to integrate them into a credible supply chain framework. Insetting versus offsetting. While there has been some recent backsliding on ESG goals from large food companies, most global food companies remain committed to reducing Scope 3 emissions and are increasingly looking to projects in their own supply chains rather than offsets, claimed Tolley. This is in part because they can also deliver broader benefits beyond emissions reductions from more resilient supply chains, improved water quality, or improved operational efficiency on the farm to increase productivity, feed conversion rates in the case of the project with Rumin8, she said. Companies are just being more strategic about what projects to invest in. That said, it's still relatively early days for some of the technologies in question when it comes to livestock methane reduction. She acknowledged with new technologies and approaches still going through regulatory processes that can differ widely from country to country. In the US, for example, Athian has been working closely with farmers that use methane-busting feed additive Bovaer from DSM Firmenich via Elanco, the approval process for which took several years, said Tolley. We have about 8 protocols on our platform that we support through U.S. dairy, and we have engaged in activities covering about 10% of the dairy cows in the U.S. We have multiple contractual agreements with large food companies that are relying on us to provide their Scope 3 reduction goals. The key is making the process credible and defensible for food companies, but easy for farmers to participate and upload data, she added. One of the problems we're really trying to solve is that many food companies have been doing this as bespoke projects they were managing internally. Athian's board features experts in enteric and manure methane that review all of the methodologies it brings onto the platform to ensure the science is credible, claimed Tolley. We then have that protocol or methodology reviewed by a third party to ensure we are complying with our own governance structure as well as external standards, ISO standards, and greenhouse gas protocol standards. Rumin8, a portfolio of offerings. Rumin8 is developing a variety of feed supplements that reduce enteric methane production from cow burps, a leading source of GHG emissions, greenhouse gas emissions. Its flagship product, which co-founder David Messina says he hopes will secure regulatory approval in Brazil next year, followed by other markets including New Zealand, Australia, the US, and Europe, is a granule containing a stabilized form of bromoform that can be added to whole mixed rations and supplement mixes for cattle. We can now do 3.5 million doses a day with a single manufacturing train in a GMP environment, and that can scale to 8 to 9 million quite quickly, said Messina. Other products under development include a slow-release bolus that could deliver active ingredients to the cattle rumen over time, a compound that converts to bromoform in the cattle rumen post-ingestion, and a fungi-based platform that produces bromoform, said Messina. This looks like it could be a much cheaper way to produce pure bromoform than our GMP solution, which relies on synthetic chemistry. Co-claiming models for Scope 3 emission reductions. Ultimately, tech relying solely on carbon insetting or offsetting to deliver a return is risky, acknowledged Messina, who said the fact that Rumin8 products can also deliver a productivity benefit to the farmer has been key to its appeal. However, new initiatives such as co-claiming models that allow multiple parties such as retailers, CPG companies, and milk processors to spread the costs and rewards of insetting projects are helping reduce the burden on individual companies that have historically funded projects alone, said Messina. It means the whole financial burden doesn't just sit with one participant in the supply chain. So that's the completion of the article. What we learned here is that a lot of these companies which are trying to reduce emissions within their own supply chains, so it's insetting and becoming more efficient across their supply chains and reducing greenhouse gases and helping their cattle produce less greenhouse gases. A lot of these projects are really in their own silos. They're really in their own sort of internal operations, and there's a lack of maybe standardization, and it's really exhausting a lot of resources perhaps on these companies because it's an internal project as opposed to being able to tap into something that is more standardized and many other companies are using. So at least as we can see with this article that we have this really exciting case study where a company that's based in the US was able to have these inset credits generated by a very large Brazilian beef project. And so once again, the material being used to reduce this methane is down in Australia called Rumin8 and Minerva Foods. These are two companies that we've been following for quite a long time with a lot of the press releases coming out, especially from AgFunder. So in conclusion, I know an article we covered a few days ago about Brazilian beef, Brazilian cows, and blockchain. This is a little bit different. This is dealing more with carbon offset or inset. So in the case of insets, if a company is able to prove that their supply chain is increasingly green and able to have several boxes checked, this is really a step in the right direction. So you can see that these inset credits seems to be an industry first. And with that being said, once again, everybody here at cryptodeposit.org, we welcome everybody to visit Crypti. which is also a sister project. You can open a wallet there. There's a lot of carbon credit information that we will be rolling out soon. We've got some projects already on the platform. But now, if you want to enjoy cryptodeposit.org, please scan your wallet, whether you're using a MetaMask. You can use OKEX here. You can use Uniswap. There's many dozens and dozens of nice self-custody wallets. All you got to do is scan in. And of course, we welcome bank wires. We welcome Apple Pay. We welcome using a card if you wanted to use other types of cards. And then right now, USDC and USDT. This will be expanding. So the final step would be taking your USDC and taking your USDT and getting a yield curve, as you see here, a yield curve for as little as 7 days up to 5 years yield curve. So you can lock that in. You can send it back to your own wallet, or you can send it to a new wallet with that increased yield over time, depending on your yield curve, as you see here. There's even a referral code program if you wish. And then if you have your wallet connected, you can see all of your government bills, your T-bills. So this is not necessarily bills to pay. These are the bills that are in process, that are in your wallet, fully self-custody, and currently locked into crypto deposit, earning that yield. And then still more if you wanted to use your other tokens in your wallet as collateral to borrow more stable coins. All you got to do is that. And then for a lot of our B2B partners, anything above 50,000, you can submit a request for proposal. So it's both directions, getting stable coins or sending stable coins, or whichever way you want to do that, buy or sell stable coins, bank wire, fiat token, and many, many options for, as you see here, USDT, USDC, KUSD. And then when it comes to AUD, USD, Euro, Great British Pound, Singapore dollar, Japanese yen, Swiss franc, New Zealand dollar, many, many options. And then finally, you can see your statements here. It's like a full real-time bank statement, messaging, video calls, all of those chat functions, XMTP. So it's wallet to wallet. So you can chat with anybody on cryptodeposit.org just from your wallet to theirs. So it's fully secure. Activity history, and then exchange and swap if you wanted to do some exchanging or swapping on the platform. White paper, we have a video on the YouTube channel on the white paper if you wanted us to read it and go through it for you. And then many tutorials, onboarding tutorials, and many playlists on the Crypto Deposit YouTube channel. So we want to thank everybody for their wonderful support. Thank you for your time and attention for today's video. Related a bit more to carbon credits, which is one of the things that we've been working on in our sort of partnerships and sister projects here with Crypti. And with that being said, wishing you all a great day, great afternoon, great evening, and we'll see you all in just a little bit with another exciting video on topical news stories that we like to cover here on the Crypto Deposit YouTube channel. Have a good day, everybody. See you soon.